Well, hello everyone. This is Dr. Ayleen, and this is Medicine Walk. And for those of you who are listening in on Blog Talk Radio, this is Healing House Radio. So, I hope everyone's doing okay. And let's jump right into today's question. And some of the questions are questions that, have been actively sent in. And some of the questions are just general questions that I've received over time. So if I don't reference a particular person, then it was just a question that was brought up to me at some point, and I thought it was worth addressing. Now that I'm thinking about questions that I've had, I'm actually remembering a lot of them. So let's go to today's first question. How do empaths know what they're feeling is real and not just their imagination? I've had this question brought up a lot with me. And the idea that, well, maybe I'm just imagining it. Maybe it's not real. Maybe I'm not, maybe I'm just dramatic. Maybe I am, just a little bit too creative. Um, it's been something that probably most empaths deal with this issue, probably from the time they first realize they're empathic, and maybe even before they realize it, but they demonstrate it. So, how do we know this isn't just our imagination? How do we know this is actually a real perception? Well, honestly, you have to decide that. Each person decides for themselves what rings true. And it's not so much a question of whether or not what you feel is really from, let's say something you're picking up from another person or from a tree or from a pet or anything like that. The question becomes, do you trust yourself? The question becomes, when you sit in those quiet moments, when you're real with yourself, when you're honest with yourself, when you know yourself, is it real? Do you believe in it? And, faith is a very interesting thing. Faith doesn't just deal with religion or spiritual practices. Faith is that belief in what has not been or may not be proven, but that rings true for you. So if you wonder whether or not what you're feeling is real, that just means that your work is to learn to trust yourself, to learn to be able to discern that, what feels real and what doesn't. Now, for me, when I have something that comes in or a feeling that comes in, and I wonder, is this mine? If I'm suddenly feeling angry and irritated, I will ask myself, does this belong to me or does it belong to somebody else? And it's sort of like a beep. And if I say, does this belong to me? And it goes beep, boop. To me, what I've learned to interpret is that means it does not belong to me. If it just stays level, then, and when I say it, it's like, just sort of, kind of picturing in my mind or feeling the energy of it. And so I connect with, if it's anger or sadness or fear, and I connect with it and I look it straight in the face. And, it's like, do you belong to me? And if I get any reaction whatsoever, that means it does not. So I've learned over the years to trust that part of myself, to trust my intuition, to trust my instinct, and to be able to say, in all honesty, yeah, you know what? I may be imagining this. Maybe this is a story that I'm telling myself. It's always good. There's nothing wrong with taking a good, hard second look at what it is that what you believe to be true. And make sure that you are in your own truth. Make sure that you understand your own truth. Only you can decide whether or not something rings true for you. And being able to be or to be able to be comfortable with the idea that you can trust yourself, that you know yourself well enough to know when maybe you're making something up. And it does take time. It takes a lot of time because really, I think in general, people are not encouraged to trust themselves. They're encouraged to trust, the authority. They're encouraged to trust, we don't, that's a whole bag of badgers that we're not going to get into. But we're not encouraged to trust ourselves. We're encouraged to trust others and the wisdom of others, which there's nothing wrong with. And, and I know it may sound ironic coming from me as I'm giving advice on things. I will not ask you to trust me just because I say something. Trust me because you feel it rings true for you, that it makes sense to you. If something I say doesn't make sense, not only are you free to feel whatever it is you want to feel about it, I encourage you to contact me and let me know, hey, that didn't resonate with me, and this is why. I would be happy to discuss it with you because I think that some of the best things that have ever been created have come from people who have differing opinions and different viewpoints on something coming together and finding the balance point. So if you're an empath and you are wondering whether or not it's real, I mean, anybody who works in spiritual realms, that that is something that we've all dealt with. Well, how do you know it's real? How do you know that, that these things aren't happening? Can you see it? Can you prove it? I can feel it. And over the years, I've learned to trust what I feel. I've learned to trust that not everything is what it seems. And I've learned to trust that everything and everyone carries both light and shadow. And when you can kind of see both sides to things, you become less attached. Because the thing is, the trick is not to become attached to what the answer to that question is. Because one, reality can be tremendously subjective. There are those who will argue what is real and what is not. It's what you believe to be real. If you trust your abilities, it's something that every person who has ever read a tarot card or given, spiritual counseling or anything, I grew up with the saying, don't say too much because then you don't have too much to take back. So I'm very careful about what I offer because these are things that are based on personal experiences that I have had and what I have learned. And whether or not that applies to you is ultimately up to you. So it's okay. Just if you're not sure, you don't have to be. Allow the experience to be what it is and study it, look at it, see how that feels as opposed to something else. If a similar situation comes up, how does that feel different? This is an opportunity to study and to work and to learn to trust yourself. It's okay. It takes a little bit of practice, but you'll do it. And if you have questions about that, please feel free to contact me. You can reach me through my Twitter page. You can reach me through my Facebook group, Medicine Walk with Dr. Ayleen, and you can leave comments to this video. And as always, if you are if you're watching the premiere of this video, I am in the chat room live. So just, log in and you can ask whatever question you'd like. So if that question brought a few more questions to your mind, then let me know, send in your questions, or you can just wait around tomorrow because I will have another question. Anyway, take care, be safe, and as always, I wish you balance and I wish you blessings from my heart to yours. Love you, and see you tomorrow.